All right, so let's go to the second presentation today, which is I would say more practical and technical than yesterday, and it's again Michal Krupinski who will describe probably deeper the mail map portal and the online tools for marginal lands management. So Michal Krupinski, who is from the Space Research Center of the Polish Academy of Sciences in Poland. And Michel, please go ahead.
Thank you for introduction, Luis. As I showed yesterday with Fernando, we presented theoretically how the portal will look like, and today we would like to show you in practice how the specific tools which are foreseen for the mail map portal, how they work and how you can use them. Let me share my screen. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just the title, and we will switch quickly to our portal. As I said yesterday, our map portal is based on Google Earth Engine. And here you can see the landing page, the first view which you obtain when you enter our portal. Generally, it's made of three parts. The left part, the biggest part is the map on which you will see all the results, all the maps, all the values which you receive. On the right side, you can see the panel with the list of tools and some description, manual, and the partners involved in development of this portal. And on the top, you can find the additional bar, which can easily move you to some location which you are interested in. So maybe let's move to the favorite Polish city of favorite because of the name for the Polish children, which is called Szczebrzeszyn. It's so famous because it's difficult to pronounce even for Polish sometimes. And using this example, I will show you what are the basic functionalities of our main portal. So first of all, you can navigate on the map and find our results all over the Europe. With the map, you can move to other places as well, but the results are created and calculated only for Europe. The easiest way to navigate is, of course, the mouse with the scroll, but you can also use the control buttons. In the top right, you have a few important icons. The first one is called layers. Here you can see two of them at the moment. You can switch them or switch off together with changing the opacity. So, for example, if you would like to see what is underneath our, for example, marginal land productivity layer, you can do it using these bars. Then you have four options what map you would like to see in the background. So as the default, we have the map which is usually used in Google Maps, but you can also switch to the satellite view, white, very bright map, which should not make any problems with the colors, which can come from the background, and you can always go back to default. And there is additional icon which allows for the full screen of the tool. On the left bottom part of the map, you will always see the legend of the layer which is presented at the moment. As the default one, you can see marginal lands productivity. This layer is the results of analysis and research which was performed within the project, and it was described in more details yesterday by Harry. But yes, later I will also show you the references where you can find more details how it was performed. Generally, the different shades of, let's say, violet color, magenta, they indicate what is the marginal lands productivity value. If you want to check the specific pixel value, you just do the left click on the pixel which you are interested in. Maybe I will just quickly turn on the mouse highlight, so you will see easier my mouse cursor. So I clicked, and on the bottom I obtained the results. It's almost 40% of the productivity index. When we click somewhere else, we quickly get the results on the bottom. As I said, this is a result of the research performed within the project, and actually it's a static layer which shows the potential marginal lands over Europe. Actually, in the final version of our product, we will have two types of marginal land potential extent. The one which you can see now, we can call it standard. The second one, we can call it enhanced. What are the differences between them? The standard one relates to the one specific moment in time, which is about 2017, 2018, and it is related with the databases which were used to create this layer. In the enhanced version, you will be able to choose the time period which you are interested in. So, for example, you will be able to perform the analysis for 2021, 22, depends when you want to use it. The standard one is used on the is calculated based on the existing databases, and that's why we also call it static. It was calculated once, and you can use our result. And the enhanced version is calculated on the satellite images, which are the Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2 satellites from the European Copernicus program. In the standard program, in the standard layer, the extent of the analysis was the whole Europe, and in case of enhanced product, it will be limited to regions, but the user will be able to choose any regions he or she wants within the Europe. We limited the area of interest to the region because of the big amount of satellite data which has to be actually calculated on the fly in the moment when user decides that he wants to see the specific region. That's why we don't want to perform all the calculations every time for the whole Europe. Okay. Let's go back to the portal. So this is the marginal land productivity static or standard product. The enhanced version, the enhanced product will be available in the final version. The second product which you can display actually relates to the same pixels. It's using the marginal lands productivity, but it's dividing this mask into three classes. Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3. Class 1 means the pixels of potential marginal lands which have the high suitability for afforestation processes. Class 2 means the moderate quality, and Class 3 indicates the areas which are unsuitable for afforestation plans. Let's move to the tools which are available within this part. So the first group relates to the two layers which I have shown you, and the second group relates to the decision support system, which will be presented by Fernando in the next presentation. Starting with the first option, exclude areas by land cover. You may remember from yesterday that the part of our methodology was that we excluded some land cover classes like forest, protected areas, etc., because we are sure that they don't contain marginal lands. And it was called the hard threshold or the hard layers. But maybe for some reason, some kind of users would like to modify it and, for example, not exclude the forest or protected areas from the analysis. So he can choose it, he can modify it very easily just by unselecting some specific land cover classes. And as you can see, the maps are displayed quite quickly. It's all the analyses are performed on the fly. User can also deselect all the layers at once, and this is the example which I have shown you before, where the whole Europe can suddenly become the marginal land. So we don't advise it. The exclusions which we have performed result on our research, so we propose it to use it this way. The second option, the second flexibility which the users have using these layers is the exclusion of or selection of the pixels which have the specific productivity value. Let's switch to the values of productivity instead of classes. And here now we can see all the pixels with all the values from 0 to 100. And here we can limit this. For example, we want to see only the pixels which, let's say, have the low or moderate productivity. We just select the threshold, click apply, and here you can see also the progress bar, which shows you that the analyses are being performed, and when it ends, we should see the results. Okay, it looks that in this area we don't have so low quality of marginal lands productivity. Let's switch to 50 as the upper threshold. And we can see much more areas now. At the moment in this app, if we limit the extent of marginal land class using these thresholds, the results which we obtain here are automatically used in the next tools. So not to influence the results, let's go back to the default ones. So we want to see all the potential marginal lands in this area. And we can move to the factor importance selection. This relates to the second part of our methodology. So the three main groups of parameters which are used in the soft layers, then they relate to the terrain and soil, sustainability, and productivity. Here you can see the ranks, the waves which are assigned to all of these groups, and this is the result of our methodology, which has scientific background. But of course, if you know your region and you would like to modify something, you can influence the values of waves for the specific parameters. In the first group, we have such parameters, in the second one, this, and in the third, this one. And let's say that we know this region. This is the southeast part of Poland. We know that in this region, actually the slope is not so important. We did the analysis. We know that this rank, for example, in this case, should be slightly lower. We also analyzed, for example, the sand content in the subsoil and topsoil, and according to our results, the values should be also slightly slower. So we can just modify them here, click apply, and all the values are being recalculated for our results. Always we can go back to the default ranks, clicking just reset to default. The third very important tool is called Marginal Land classes. Here you can modify how our potential marginal lands are divided into three classes. First with the high, second with the moderate suitability for afforestation, and the third one with which is unsuitable. So let's switch to our classification into three classes using layer productivity classes. And here you can see that mostly in this area we have class 2. We have also some examples of unsuitable areas, but we would like to perform, for example, the analysis which is more regional, and we would like to use our method how to divide the productivity layer into three classes. We can use three options. We can divide this index using equal thresholds. So the range from 0 to 100 is divided equally into three. We can use the percentiles using 25 and 75 threshold, and similar way using 33 or 66 percentiles. Or we can use the custom classes where we put our own thresholds, just typing them. And maybe let's try to calculate percentiles. Here we have additionally the option to choose some specific regions. In this version, we introduced only the division into countries and then into the regions, but we can also select our own area of interest. To do this, we should click Select Area, and then we can draw the polygon which we are interested in. Let's say that we are interested in this region. We have our polygon, and we click Apply. On the bottom, we have information that the algorithm is calculating the values. It may take a few seconds. Yeah, and now we can see the results. Because we selected only some area, the portal shows us in this division only this area which we have selected. And now, additionally, for our area of interest, we can calculate the area histogram. The area histogram will show us the histogram of the marginal land productivity layer values. You can see that it's calculated quite quickly. I also have chosen a relatively small and easy polygon to be sure that it's calculated fast enough so I can show it within my presentation time. And this histogram of productivity, we can click the icon to make it bigger, and we can save it in few ways. As the PNG, so just the graph. Yes, so we can easily import it to any type of report which we want to create. We can also download it as SVG, so also the graphical format, but the vector one, comparing to the raster PNG, and we can also download CSV. So we get the spreadsheet with all these values. So for all the values which are visible in our, which exist in our area of interest, we can see how many pixels each of these value exist here. Yeah, so these tools, which I described, they relate to the first part of our tool. And if you would be interested in using our portal in the future, I encourage you to subscribe our newsletter, which will be published this month and in December. And then there we will put all the details how to use our portal with the links. That it will be also available on our website. And if you would like to know more about the methodology which is behind the products which we are presenting, you can use our ResearchGate project website, where you have the papers, the references which describe our methodology, and specifically for the methodology, how the marginal land mask, the marginal land layer was calculated. I recommend you to find this paper. And because we have theoretically today the Black Friday, but let's do it the Green Friday, I would like to show you something extra, which is the tool which is not implemented yet in our portal, but it will enable users to perform the multi-temporal analysis on the specific area of interest. And one of the interesting features will be related with the changes which may occur within the time. The user will be able to choose the starting date, the end date, and for example, it will be very easy to find the areas, especially in forest, where something has changed. So, for example, that the forest was cut or for any other reason disappeared. And on the other hand, it will be possible to find the areas where the vegetation started to appear. And what is important, it will be easy to find the date when the specific event has happened. Thank you for your attention, and I would like to invite you for the second part with decision support system, which will be presented by Fernando.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Michal. So any question you want to ask Michal about his presentation? So Michal, the marginal land productivity value that is you mentioned that is the suitability for afforestation, basically. So this comes from the soft constraints that Harry was explaining yesterday. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. It's the result of the soft constraints. So actually, we analyzed the 30 different databases with different types of soil, climatic or terrain variables.
Okay, very nice. Good job. Thank you. So no questions. So probably at the end of the of the next presentation, we can have questions about both. All right, so next presentation is again about the mail map portal and decision support systems for Marginal Lands, and there's Fernando Bezares who is going to present it. Well, Fernando, you know from yesterday, is from the Center for Services and Promotion, Forest Promotion and Forest Industry in Castilla y León region. So, Fernando.
Hello, Luis. Thank you for the presentation, and hello, Michal, as well, for the introduction of the Marginal Land portal. In my case, I'm going to show you more the tool as Michal did, but without any presentation, more like a tutorial, let's say, since yesterday was more the technical part and more the theoretical background. So let me show you the portal. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Perfect. So as Michal has introduced before, we have the different tools. He has explained a bit of the background of the tool again. And his part dealt more with the identification of the marginal lands. And my part is more about the decision support system. In basically is what do we do with these marginal lands that we have already identified. So as you might be seeing right now in my screen, we have the decision support system, and there are like 3 tools that compose this decision support system, and more to come. But already in this alpha version, we have our carbon calculator, a carbon predictor, and an afforestation cost calculator. So if I click on the carbon calculator, what we are going to see right now is a tool that allows us to calculate the composition of the forest, indicating 3 species, diameter, mixture, percentage, density, and indicating a study area. So the carbon calculator is thought for calculating the carbon at a given point of our reforestation program. Let's say the forester knows that there is a marginal land area, and in the surroundings he has a environment, and he has plots or he has information about how this area is growing, and he wants to assess and he wants to identify how his marginal land is going to look like based on forest inventory data. So in this case, he could go to the carbon calculator and say, okay, I want my area to have 3 species. And this carbon calculator contemplates 3 combinations of a species. Let's say, for the sake of the example, Fagus sylvatica, Pinus sylvestris, and Abies alba. And knowing the diameter at breast height of these 3 species and the mixture of them, the user could calculate this thing. The tool is thought so that you can change the different mixtures, and it has a handling error system in which if I write here more than the percentage of mixture, it shouldn't calculate, or well, in this case, calculated this. So the mixture should calculate should sum up, add up to 100%. And then also, this is the target density that we should have for our plantation. So if I click here, the carbon calculator is going to calculate a average carbon sequestered by hectare. But of course, this is not ideal if we don't know if we know our area and where we want to study. So the user could zoom in to the area that they want, let's say here in Switzerland, and select a given area. Say here. The user could define 1 or more polygons. And then when we hit on apply, we will have the carbon area. As you can see here, it's calculating in the bottom of the screen. So once this finishes to load, we will have the information for the carbon in this area. So this carbon is the sum of the carbon in the whole marginal lands. And the tool also provides the information for how much carbon has been stored in the different marginal land classes based on the productivity information that we have introduced before, which is the classes that we see here in green and in black. So this would be the distribution of the carbon in our classes. Okay, we could play as well with the different diameters at breast height. Let's say you know that in 20 years, your diameter for Fagus sylvatica is going to be 20 centimeters according to your area. Pinus sylvestris, I don't know, let's say in 20 years as well. Since it's a bad area, we estimate that it's going to be 17 centimeters. And Abies alba, let's say it's going to be 15. And it's the same rationale. You supply, and we get our information. Here we have it thinking. Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, but what if I don't know my area? Or what if I do not have any type of information of how does the forest look like? Or I don't know, I shouldn't know what's the carbon in 20 years, or what is the diameter of my Fagus sylvatica tree in my plot. So that's why we designed the carbon predictor. The carbon predictor, it's a tool that tries to overcome this and knowledge, this lack of knowledge about the distribution of the diameters in the area, and so, it suggests a distribution of diameters depending on a polygon. So this tool, what is thought is for somebody who wants to carry out an afforestation in a given area, and considering that the first diameter is of the plant that we are planting is 1 centimeter, it will use a diameter increment model for any area in Europe, considering environmental variables, topographic variables, the slope, etc. And then it will deploy a diameter increment curve, and for each diameter, we will apply the carbon, the biomass equations which the carbon calculator uses to then have the distribution of carbon over the time. So in this sense, let's replicate the same combination of species that we had in our area. Let's say Fagus sylvatica again, Abies alba, or Pinus sylvestris. I don't have anything special with the species. I just chose them for the example, but we can take any other one. And typically in Spain, in Castilla León, where I work, the initial reforestation density is around 1,600, but here we could change it to 2,000, let's say. So this would be a curve that it will be deployed, and this curve right now, since we have not applied any type of a region information, is giving us growth information of the carbon based on standard and mean increment values for a species. No, so this is the aggregation of the 3 species that we have in our area, and it's not and it's just like the aggregation based on the percentage of mixture that we have indicated before. Let's see here. So If we now select an area, as we did before, and we hit on apply, then the picture is different. Let's wait for this to compute. Okay, now what we have here is more interesting. It's a carbon distribution in each of the classes of the marginal lands for the total area and for the non-marginal land areas. So if I increase this thing and I zoom in, we can see how our carbon is going to evolve through time. So in this sense, let's say for the class 1, which is the less productive, as we can see, we can get the information at any point, and we can see that by after 26 years or 27 years with the species that we have introduced, we will have about 66,000 tons of carbon sequestered for the class 1 area, and so on. We could evaluate each curve at any point. Plus, let's say if the user is not interested in any of these curves, let's say, why would I like to have the whole area? I just want to have just the marginal land classes. This can work as well. And then we can zoom in and have our curves. So once we have assessed how much carbon we will have in our area, the next tool that we can present is the afforestation cost calculator. And the afforestation cost calculator, what it does is, well, it's more or less self-described by the title, but it estimates the cost of afforestation processes. And in this tool, what we aim to do is we put effort in trying to specialize the cost of, well, this does not deploy a map, but the cost is based on spatial layers. So we wanted to try to specialize the afforestation cost based on variables such as the slope, the labor cost, the type of soil, the distance to cities, distance to roads. And basically, as the other tools, we could select an area like so. And once we have our study area, we can indicate how many trees do we want to plant per hectare. And we could define, if we knew, the price of our manual base price or mechanical base price. These base prices are the prices for planting a tree on a mechanical way or in a manual way. Let's say without machines, and just like one worker would go to the field and plant it. So this one is more simple to understand. It's just like selecting your density, initial density of plantation, base prices, and you just click on the bottom to calculate the estimated cost. As you can see, we have okay, here we go. So these are the figures for the manual and the mechanical cost. This might seem really high, but of course, as well, I consider the total area and the marginal area. There are big areas. We're talking about thousands of hectares, but if we go to more in detail, these figures will go lower. As well, the effort for specializing this and taking into account variables that are not typically considered into a big scale may throw an overestimation. Recently, the Environmental European Agency published, recently, a couple of years ago, published a report on the average cost of afforestation, the cost of afforestation in Europe. And in this report, they said the conditions that they were considering were not taking into account topographic conditions, and they were assuming good soil conditions for this. So of course, the tables that they offer, they do not show this harsh condition of the marginal land. So that's why this figure may seem bigger on or not correlated with this report. And I don't know if I have a bit of time as well, maybe to present an extra feature that we would like to include in the future. As if you attended to the talk yesterday that we gave about the decision support system, these tools are the end of our decision support system. And what we want to introduce before is the enhanced classification that Michal has previously introduced, and a filtering of our areas based on distance filters. So I'm going to, if I have time, I'm going to quickly introduce this. But please.
Yes, you have time, so don't worry. Sorry, don't worry about the time. We have time.
Thank you very much, Luis. Please bear in mind that this tool is still in beta version. This is what I'm doing, maybe a bit suicidal to present a tool in beta, but it's just to give you a glimpse that this tool is still increasing, it's still growing, and we're still developing things with it. So in this sense, let me share with you my screen. I think I should share another screen here. I don't know if I'm sharing this screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
So this beta tool that is standalone right now, what it would do, it would filter the marginal lands that we have seen based on distant filters and applying the enhanced classification or the old classification. For this example, I will apply the old classification, and for the new versions that we will introduce the new classification. So this decision support system works as it follows. We will select our country, let's say Germany in this case, and it will deploy NAT3 regions. In this case, I'm going to select Dresden, since I was doing my secondment there, and I grew fond of the area. And after we have applied, we'll see our polygon popping up there. Then I'm going to select the older European classification, but just for the sake of example, I can show you how the enhanced classification would work. This selects a date, as Michal has previously said, and the user needs at least 2 years of time gap in order to run the classification. So the tool is thought so that if I select, let's say 2019 or 2021, and I click on March, let's say, we'll have a warning saying, please introduce at least 2 years. So now, if we go to 2019, and I click here on March, let's say, now we will have 2 dates. And this other slider doesn't consider any date before, so that we assure that we have these 2 years difference. And we will here click on apply, and we'll have our classification. Since this is now not fully developed, or is developed, but it has some things to fix, as is in beta, I will work on the European classification that I know it works better. And now we will select, once we have identified our region of study and our way to identify the marginal lands, we will decide what type of reforestation we want to accomplish. And depending on if it's a productive or a protective reforestation, let's say now protective, we will have 2 types of filters deployed: forest distances to certain key land covers. In this sense, we have forest, protected areas, distance to crops, built-up, and roads. Here, the user can say what is the maximum distance from a certain land cover, in this case, the forest, or if they want, and in this sense, it means that it's close to, is the distance closer to the forest. So if I indicate here 1 kilometer, it means that the distances that it's going to select are going to be 1 kilometer from a forest, to a forest. But if I click here further, then this is going to mask out all the regions that there are 1 kilometer around the forest, and it's going to select everything that is away from it. So in this sense, since it's a protective reforestation, I'd say, no, I want all the areas that surround, let's say, 2.5 kilometers. And I want my areas to be at least, let's say, 300 meters away from both crops, built-up, and roads. And then I will hit on apply. This tool, what it will do, I will remove the area so you can see. It will get our marginal land areas and it will filter them. What you are seeing right now, it's the marginal lands areas already filtered by this distance. And if you were curious about, well, this is the region of Dresden, so you can see. If you were curious about how does the joint masked look, it would look like this. So as you can see, our marginal lands fall within these masked areas, which are the areas that the user has selected. Let's say that the user doesn't want 2,000 meters, but 1,000 meters, 1 kilometer. If we hit on apply, we will have a different distance mask. There we go. And so on, we can be changing our areas of analysis. The only difference with the productive and protective is that the productive reforestations do not account for distances to forests or distances to protected areas, since the goal is more economic, so we are not considering the possible stepping stones between area biodiversity-rich areas or protected areas. So with this thing, I would like to finish my presentation. Thank you for listening and thank you for attending to this presentation. And if you have any doubts, please let me know. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Fernando. A very nice presentation and nice tool. So, so you saw the carbon calculator and predictor, and so the carbon calculator use polygons and species, a combination of species. I imagine as many as you want to put, and you should put the combination and the proportion, and I imagine also that the polygons can be uploaded from a shape file, let's say, or something like that, right? So this kind of flexibility.
Yeah, you could upload it from GeoJSON. If you have a GeoJSON string, we have included a bottom. I don't know if I think I might have skipped this part, but there was when we select the area. Yeah, sorry. If I may, I will share the screen again.
Okay.
Sorry for that. I forgot to mention that feature. It's because since it's in the bottom of the screen, I forgot to mention. If you see here in the bottom, when we click on the bottom select area, we'll have here a menu that would say import. So here, if you paste your GeoJSON file content, you will be able to have your areas deployed here. Ideally, it would have been better a shapefile, but since the mechanics of Google Earth Engine, especially in the apps, do not allow easily from any user to load files into a server, it's easier to get a string and then from this string create the document rather than uploading a document. This is one of the limitations from Google Earth Engine apps But we sort of bypassed this limitation with the GeoJSON file, which is not such a strange or weird type of file. And we think that it's still functional and functional, yeah.
Okay, and another question is the prediction, the predictor. So this carbon predictor is based on, I imagine, on some methodologies from the literature.
Yes.
That you obtain.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that yesterday in the talk, I mentioned that this was created by the researching team of Shahel has of 2018. I can later on pass the reference. And this team, what they did is they had they calculated fitted diameter increment models for the whole Europe. And for each pixel, they fitted equations that consider these variables, and then they grew curves for a set of species. This set of species had the equation fit for each pixel, and knowing how much a diameter, the increment of the diameter for each year in a specific pixel, and assuming that the person that plants a plant is planting 1 centimeter plant, we can know this increment with the distribution of the diameters. And after this, with the biomass with the biomass equations, we will get the carbon from it. This is what we did. But if anyone has doubts about the models, we can send the literature to them.
Okay,
actually,
thank you.
Actually, I had the Pablo Crespo helped me with the development, or he mostly developed this thing, and we thought about the idea together, and he was really as well in charge of the implementation of this. We worked together on this, so you have it in your team as well, if you want to.
Yeah, he told me something, but not many details. So
yeah. It was very interesting to develop this.
Okay, so very nice, and we have some questions, or well, kind of this question. I think I will give from Alexander. I think I will give for another roundtable. So, so the question is if afforestation is the only way of sequestering carbon, because grassland sequester the carbon in different way, and thus afforesting grassland or meadows may reduce valuable habitat. So that's the question. Do you consider some trade-offs between carbon sequestration and biodiversity conservation perspectives? Say conceptual questions, and so he mentioned that the case of Galicia with afforestation of abandoned lands with eucalyptus plantations, which had some site social and environmental efforts. So any reflection would be appreciated. There has been a few reflections, but so I invite people to answer or to talk about that if you want.
Yeah, I may answer if. So I think that this is one of the. I mean, it's totally true. Like has always have to be a trade-off and a balance between deforestation and biodiversity. But that's why as well we consider planting at least 3 species. And it's, of course, in such a big scale tool, we cannot have a precise definition of the trade-off between biodiversity and afforestation, because there are too many scenarios, too many agroecological zones. But as a way to more or less tackle this biodiversity key aspect, it was at least introducing 3 species. And of course, I believe personally that as well, being sensible and about what species are introducing in which areas, if they are native species, if they have a ecosystem function in there, if they do not occlude and take functions from other species, is something that the forester and the person who is carrying out the reforestation or ecological restoration must assess. Here we provide the species, and then is the user who decides what to do with them. Of course, you could plant eucalyptus or whatever in its region, but you have to know what fits your area. That's what I would say.
Thank you. Could you unshare the screen?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fernando?
I'm still sharing?
Yeah, we see everything black.
I don't know.
So in the
I don't know.
meantime, if someone wants to answer, to continue this.
Am I sharing right now, or it's because
No, now it's fine.
No, it's
Now
fine.
it's fine.
Perfect. Thanks, Luis.
Yeah, there are a couple of answers in the chat, but I'm not gonna read them. So if someone wants to talk, openly talk here, you know, we are more or less in family anyway. So does anybody wants to say something about that, or any other questions about Fernando, Michal presentations, or about the mock? Some comments.
Only to inform Alexander, we gave the permissions in order to speak and share your camera. If you want to reply or add more comments.
Oh yeah, you can give the permissions to everybody. I think we are not so many.
Unfortunately, I don't know why in my application I cannot see the chat. So if
Thank you. I don't know if the sound is coming from.
Yes, we heard you.
Okay, thanks.
Alexander.
I think it's really interesting response. Thanks a lot for your insight. Exactly, you're working quite a lot in the Mediterranean, and this is where not was a concern, but we noticed kind of the little bit side effects in Galicia. And I was just curious exactly, and I have heard very well that exactly, first of all, it's a broad-scale analysis, and in the end, the foresters and environmentalists, they have to decide what fits the best. So thanks a lot for your response. I think it's a really wonderful tool.
Thank you very much, Alexander, for your question and for your interest on our work. It's really inspiring.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this important issue that we mentioned yesterday a little bit, but yeah, it's something that the presentations today were only from the forest point of view, but I think the ecological point of view is, of course, very important. That should be included in the policies. All right, so yeah, congratulations for the tool, and Petros also sent congratulations to everybody for this tool and for the mock also, and see how finally it comes out, the mock, and hopefully we can use it in the future, everybody, for classes and specific courses. All right, so I think this comes to the end of the workshop. So today has been really short on a combination of technical issues. So let me give some ideas from yesterday and today about what I consider that are interesting issues that came out. So first, the difficulty of definition of marginal land, and the concept itself is dynamic. So we should keep that in mind for the future. As Nikos Gunari said yesterday, it's very dynamic concept. And also the opportunities of the Green Deal that now is becoming more and more important, not only for research, but also for the economic life of the European Union, the sustainable and competitive economy that's really important. And this may bring some policies that enhance these results of the project in terms of marginal lands. So, and also yesterday, I remember that Berrien was very focused on the necessity that the green policies must be interconnected and based basically in land use, which is very interesting reflection, and I think we agree. And well, we also met people from not only from Mail project, but from other projects, in particular Magic, that they are also organizing next week another a final event in their project. And well, by the way, I have to say that our final event of this project of Mail will be the 13th of December, will be organized by Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. So you will receive and you will have information in our project website. Very interesting also to know the decision support systems, the one in agriculture that was presented yesterday for the suitability of marginal lands for industrial crops. That another perspective that the one we have seen today with Fernando, that about the map portal of Mail for management and monitoring of marginal lands for forest uses and carbon sequestration. So, and finally, the mock, well, the availability of the mock in a few weeks, that would be another output, important outcome of the project for marginal land management. And well, and why not the reflection of Alexander that reminds us that the reforestation is not the only way to go through, but also to consider the biodiversity. I would like to remember also that, well, we will provide some certificates of attendance in case someone needs to justify something, and certificates of presentations for all the presenters. And so they will be provided probably for on Monday. You will have it in your email personally. And well, before leaving, I would like to give the opportunity to Petros as the coordinator of the project to say some words or to announce something. Or so please go ahead.
Thank you, Luis. I just want to remind you also that you need to keep some notes on the number of participants and so on, because we need to put it in the final reporting. Now, I want to congratulate you for organizing all this event. I know it's not easy, and it seems that although most of the people are working from home, still meetings are very many, especially because it's off hours and off working days in many times. Anyway, it seems that we have more than 100 participants in this workshop, and that is a good dissemination indicator. Thanks again for organizing it, and congratulations to all presenters. That it was very useful also to learn from outside the world, from I mean other people coming from other projects, bringing in insights from their own experience, and that is very, very useful to us as well. And also, I'm very excited because we have achieved many things, and these many things has been actually achieved by the young generation, and that is what comes out finally from this mail. Because I just want to remind everybody that these Marie Curie projects have actually two targets. One target is to advance experiences and scientific issues, and you can do that by moving people around, going from industry to academia and from academia to industry. And that is the first target. The second target is to give extra opportunities to young people. And we have, I think, from my point of view, we have achieved to a big degree to both of these targets. So thanks again for participating to these workshops. Thanks again for delivering that workshop to us. And everybody is looking forward of receiving linking to the MOOC and to the final tool that we have developed. Thanks again for being with us.
Thank you very much, Petros, for your encouraging words. And well, I have to say that obviously we have to thank to the young generation. For example, this workshop has been organized basically by technically by Jesus and Juan Pedro, and so thank you both, and also the people from Homeotech, Lampros, and they have participated very actively. And yeah, of course, this is recorded. You will have the recordings also in the website available, and most of the presentations also. So and also the attendance list and everything will be available. So thank you the presenters, thank you the attendants, and yesterday and today, and hope see you soon in person. Okay.